Yes, a European man has opened up a restaurant at the slave dungeons. But should we be upset? Is it just business? I've said this before. The slave dungeons. All right, what's the purpose of the slave dungeons? All right, it's two, right? It's to preserve history and to bring in revenue.
I'm gonna be honest. Ghana is a very interesting country for me, and I pretty much want to go and want to visit. There's only a slight issue that I have with the country. That is Cape Coast, Ghana. Now, nothing wrong with Cape Coast as a city or in Ghana. I do have a problem with the whole idea of the slave dungeon. I don't think that it's a really cool idea. That's just me personally. And it gives me a level of chagrin when I see that that particular place is a tourist site where folks pay money to see where our ancestors left Ghana going over to the New World. And to think about the atrocities that they suffered, possibly living that dungeon, it's something for me personally I don't want to experience. Nothing personal, I don't want to experience it. But many people do. People go there, they cry, they dance. Some people even twerk. Yeah, like we can't show it, but they even bounce their ass at the slave dungeon. Go figure. But there's something else that's been going on at the slave dungeon that Brother Search for Uhuru found out. That there's a particular vendor in the slave dungeon that has opened up a restaurant. No big deal. Except for this person is white. Yeah, this person is white. So now the issue was, well, why is somebody white having a restaurant in the slave dungeon? And a lot of people on Dynasty Stream, which is the Search for Who YouTube channel, took umbrage with that. But they are charging money to, come to the dungeon and in the castle to see what's going on. So it makes sense that people will get hungry and they'll want to eat. But Dynasty was on the stream and somebody asked him this.
Oh, they have restaurants at the Holocaust Museum. I think they have restaurants there. Oh, what do you mean? As far as non-Jews opening up restaurants at the Holocaust? Let's pull this up.
So basically the question that was curated was, well, do the Jews in their Holocaust museums allow anybody to just come in there and set up shop as a vendor, especially if they're non-Jewish? Well, there's one way to find out. So Brother Dynas of the Search for Who YouTube channel went on ahead and made this call.
Holocaust Museum LA.
Hey, I have a question. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. Do you guys have restaurants on site at the actual museum?
So we don't have a restaurant on site, but we are very, very close to the Grove and Farmers Market.
Okay.
It's about like a 5-minute walk from our museum.
Now, do you guys allow vendors at the museum or no?
No. What? No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, no, we do not.
Okay. All right. So just strictly museum. That's it. Okay. Got you. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
So there you see that no vendor or restaurant can even be in the Holocaust Museum, regardless of race or creed. So not even Jewish restaurants are there. It's such a sacred place for them, they don't allow anything. But then the conversation kept and continued. And then Brother Dynas went and he was trying to search for the particular staff, the owner, and then he found out this.
Okay, here we go. David, let's see. The whole story started in 2012 when two men and two families from two continents were connected by chance. Proof friendship led to the moment when we bought the land and decided to build something special on it, something that would create unforgettable memories to our guests. All right, so I guess David Duran and Kofi Amisa, who this is a Ghanaian name. Let's see who David Duran is. Let's go over here real quick. David Duran. David Duran, Ghana. Yep, here he goes right here. Hold on, here we go. Yep, here it is. Here's the owner. David Duran, or part owner. Here he is right here. But he is partnered with an African.
So he's a white owner. He's partnering with a Ghanaian businessman to produce this. And the question is, Is it wrong? Well, it is a place that is open for business technically. So they are going to need somebody to come in and serve the food. But a lot of folks are saying, hey, this place is sacred. This place means a lot to our diaspora. It means a lot to our community. There is no way we can have a European come in and set up shop. But then Dynas positioned this as a solution.
This is where we're at, guys. This is where we're at when it comes. Okay, you said it's a sacred place. If it's sacred, what the diaspora needs to do, all right, if it's sacred, it's sacred. But if it's really, really sacred, what the diaspora needs to do, the diaspora needs to approach the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Historic Preservation, whatever it is, and say, hey, listen, us at the diaspora, we are going to maintain the slave dungeons. We're going to pay for the upkeep. We're going to pay for the employees. We are taking over. That needs to be the conversation if you're concerned about being a sacred site. Again, if you are concerned about the slave dungeons in Ghana being a sacred site, the diaspora needs to approach the Ghanaian government and say, listen, you guys aren't running it right. We need to take over. Let us take over. Here's our plan. Here's our business plan. This is what we're going to do. We're going to maintain it. We're going to pay the employees. We're going to incorporate it. We're going to take it over. In fact, just buy it. I guarantee you, if the diaspora came to Ghana with the right number, I don't know if it's $10 million. I don't know if it's $20 million.
Yeah, did you hear what he said? If the diaspora wants it, why don't the diaspora come in and say, we're going to take care of the castle. We're going to run it. We're going to fund it. In fact, we'll buy it from you. But do you know when you hear that, what will you get? Unfortunately, crickets. And then here's the issue that we got to be able to talk about frankly. I've been facing so much criticism on this channel for talking about the possible return of African Americans or Caribbean Americans or Black British or even Ugandan Americans or Nigerian Americans to the continent. And what will happen, and it's not going to be peaches and creams. And people said I was dividing, I was a person that was lame and all of this, we should all work together. Well, here's the situation. Well, people need to be doers. The continent needs doers. We don't need people here who just run their mouth and don't do anything. Excuse my language, please. I hope you forgive me. We don't need people who all they do is give their opinions, because opinions is like behind holes. Everybody has one of them. You understand what I'm talking about? But if you don't do the restaurant, then guess what? The white guy who has the money and maybe has the expertise and will partner with the Ghanaian because, well, you don't trust him or you don't feel like you should do it or you can't, well, then guess who doesn't have an opinion? You. And nobody gives a shit. We just got to be honest about that. I see so many people weighing in on the Black community, weighing in on the Pan-African world, what needs to be happening and all of this. But you got to look at it from this perspective. The people who works there need jobs. They need to feed their families. And Brother Dunn talked about it the same way. They need to create revenue for themselves. They got to buy food for themselves. And they have people in the village supporting. But if that doesn't come from the diaspora, then who will do it? The answer is somebody else who's not Black. And this is what I want to talk about because this is a big theme on the channel. Guys, thank you so much who came out to our networking event in Kinganda celebration. Maybe you can see some of this in the background. And we had a speed networking event after about the second session. It lasted about 30 minutes. And what was the whole purpose of that? It was getting Blacks and getting the Black world to talk to each other and to know how to do business with each other so that these sorts of collaborations can occur in the future. So therefore, somebody from the European world doesn't have to come in and do it, or somebody from China has to come in and do it. I'm going to do a whole nother story about how the Chinese are building jail cells in Nigeria just for Chinese criminals. Yeah, and that's going on just fine. Want to know why? Because us in the black world, we have all the opportunity, but because of no collaboration and no working together and no trust, you get things like this, and then you get mad because you don't put your own money up, or you get mad because you don't put your energy into something, and you get mad because, you know, your thoughts are not being listened to when you're not producing anything. And that is a concern for people who can't produce an outcome, and then you get mad at other people who are going to produce that outcome. I will never step foot in that damn slave dungeon, nor will I ever go to that damn restaurant. But I know for sure one thing. People are going to be here on the continent talking with their mouth, and they're going to put their money for it. And African politicians would love it to be you. I'm pretty sure they would love a black utopia, but when it doesn't, they're going to go to the person that can spend money. And all we're going to be doing is talking shit about the person. Like, oh, wow, you see how they're abusing Africa. They're using Africa. Oh, sad music. Oh my God, they're abusing Africa. Oh my God, they're colonizing everything. Well, you don't have no investment here. You don't have any investment in the black community. And there's something that you're doing. So you can talk all you want. These other groups are going to pretty much ignore you and your concerns, and they're going to go right to the people and get the work permits, and they're going to go right to people and pay taxes, and they're going to operate business and do very well here simply because you don't, or you can't, or you won't, and we're running our mouths. Black people have to stop running their mouth and complaining and get in the game. What you will get out of anything in life is what you put in. If you have no skin in the game, and no skin in the game means anything else but, well, I'm black, I'm African. That doesn't mean anything. Your skin in the game means your effort, your resources, and your time. If you can't put that in the game, nobody wants to hear what you have to say. It's the truth. And as much as I don't like what's going on there, he doesn't care. His business is going to flourish, and blacks are going to go there and support him, a European, especially if the food is good, at the Cape Coast slave dungeon. It is what it is. And until we get our foot in the game and be serious, it's going to continue to happen to blacks all over the world. We see it in Black America, Arab-owned corner stores. We see Indian gas stations, and the same thing is happening here on the continent. And then we're mad because we don't work together to achieve those things. It's sad. Guys, what do you think? It's your boy, Shadu Jackson. Back at it again with an episode of King Ganda. I really appreciate it for all you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.